What if that old saying about trees and forests and if anybody was there watching or not, did it happen? What if that applied just wholesale across the realm? And that was like the base nature reality. If it's not being observed in some way, shape, or form by a being or an entity, then it doesn't exist. How would that change your perspective? And is it necessary? Is it necessary for that which is not being observed to exist? Or is the reality such that the observer is powerful enough that no matter what the belief system and how subtle, the reality has the capability to generate the local bubble based off of that person's internal structure, belief set structure, without needing the non-observed to exist at all, or the unobserved. What if that were the case? And would that make your world a lot smaller, a lot simpler, easier to manage? Would fear porn matter whatsoever? No. Fear porn wouldn't matter anymore. In fact, anything that you heard about that wasn't inside of your bubble wouldn't matter. Wouldn't be relevant at all. And all that would be doing would be flipping, for the most part, people's perspectives as far as where their attention is going on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. Right now, for a lot of people, the attention is out. It's out to future, out to past, and then outside of that structure, it's out to everything that's outside of their bubble. Your bubble is only, I don't know, half a mile wide. And then if you're looking at mountains and stuff, then it's, 10, 15 miles. It can be more than that, give or take, depending on the clearness of the air or how high you are off the ground. But if you notice, and if you look back into your own memory, there's not needed to be a correlation between, say, something you see on the news and your bubble. They could be talking about aliens invading Washington State, and if you're in California, that news would have the same exact impact on you as you hearing about Donald Trump landing in wherever, Idaho, talking about potatoes. Those two things would have the same impact on you as far as their actual effect, although you might internalize different emotions thinking about aliens landing than you would about Donald Trump talking about potatoes. But as far as the actual relevance of the information your brain's receiving that's not inside of your bubble, it all has the same level of non-relevance. really look, and I'm not saying live just in your bubble. I'm not saying just live in your bubble. You can. That's an option. You don't have to live. You don't have to extend out. But if you look within your bubble, and even just apply, say, apply the language overlay to your bubble, without getting into detail and you know, each thing is a rabbit hole that you could apply tons of words to, but just if in a general fashion, apply the language overlay to your bubble, like road, sign, apartment complex, street lamp, sky, cloud. You could account for everything that's in your bubble, for the most part, in a general sense, without going into too much detail, with 20 words. Or less. And the bubble itself is even simpler than that. You don't need to apply any words to it. Your more subtle sense of mind already knows and categorizes everything that you see, and it doesn't need to be explicated in words. Now, if you take that thought experiment a little bit further, or perhaps elaborate, and take two people that are within the same bubble. Like, for instance, my dad and Jackson were both in my bubble today. And, you know, we're sharing the same thing for the most part, because we can find out by looking at each other and seeing if the same movement is catching the eye, seeing if one runs into the door and the other one goes through the door. You know, if one ran into an invisible door and the other one went through, then there would be some sort of discrepancy between bubbles. But that didn't happen, and you know, they seem to be meshing correctly. But imagine if, say, for Jackson's bubble, he's younger, he's less entrenched in his ways than me and my dad are, and he can see probably more things. So what if he's seeing into, say, the spirit realm? You know, he's seeing ghosts or something floating around, or he's seeing, even if he was seeing the whole realm in just like a more vibrant sense, maybe it appears dull and gray to me, and to him it's like, it all looks like bright rainbows. But imagine that he was always seeing these ghosts or something, and he, for the most part, doesn't bother with them or say anything about it, doesn't point them out to people, and I don't live with that. And if he never started talking about or indicated them in some way to me, then where's the connection between him being in a different bubble than me, even though it's the same space? And also you can extend that out to the Mandela effect, which has people having different memories seemingly merging off into separate timelines, but somehow staying in the same linear one. Because as the individual, you're always on the same timeline. You can't really hop. Even if you hop the timeline and everything changed around you, for you, yours maintained continuity. And for fun, you can also add in the motion versus stillness duality, and see them merge. You can go sit somewhere, sit on a sidewalk and watch things moving, and then also ask yourself, how is all of this at the same time that it's all moving? How is it all absolutely still at the same time? and you'll be able to see all of it not moving whatsoever, or feel. You can always find the dualities and find their melting point, or find where they balance each other out and have no motion whatsoever. If you blend any duality together flawlessly, then both of the sides disappear completely. If you blend motion and stillness together, or motion and not motion, then you have, there's no words for whatever happens when you blend them correctly, but if you focus enough on each side, then look in the middle of that, so to speak, then you can see what it means. And if you take the idea that stillness or silence or peace is the core of all existence, and then take into account that your bubble is not showing all movement that's happening in all of the existences, and remember that core stillness, silence that you're feeling within your bubble is the same one that can be felt while observing all possible movement and motion, all possible appearing manifest phenomena. Then approaching it from that knowledge, you have ultimate freedom within your bubble, and you also have ultimate freedom even if you somehow manage to be experiencing all of it at once, which, yeah, it's possible, but it's kind of hard to maintain identity while that's happening.